The biggest challenge you face when starting a healthy diet is figuring out what foods you should eat without falling into the trap of all the misinformation out there. Today, I'm sharing with you the most powerful foods that you can eat that will positively influence every health marker in your body. So let's go ahead and dive in. But before we do, I'm Dr. Zyrowski, and as always, it's a pleasure hanging out with you guys in today's video. Stick around to the end because this will be information you can input into your lifestyle starting today and will make you so much healthier. You know, when we look at our health today as a society, we have a real problem. There's something called the chronic illness epidemic that exists. And our food choices are largely to blame. Modern society now represents the least healthy, most chronic disease-ridden, most prescription drug-ridden, most overweight, least physically fit, anxious and depressed humans that have ever walked the earth. But there's good news, and there's always a silver lining, and that is that you can actually turn this around today by making better food choices. And that's where this no carb, no sugar food list is going to be here to save you. Your body is incredibly intelligent. If you feed it the right nutrients, it knows how to heal itself. And so this no carb, no sugar food list will be the foundation to your health journey. Let's first dive into healthy fats. Healthy fats are important because they're good for your brain, they're good for your cell membranes, they're going to support the different tissues in your body. And so we want to make sure that we're getting good, healthy fats, the right kind of fats. Now, the thing is about fats is that they're insulin neutral. This means that they're not going to spike your blood sugar, and they also are not going to raise your insulin levels. And so they're going to help keep your physiology stabilized, and they're also going to keep you full, promoting satiety. Some of the top healthy fats that you can eat include coconut oil, MCT oil, and if you're somebody who reacts negatively to MCT oil, you're going to want to look to an MCT powder. This is a little trick that you need to know. MCT oil causes digestive distress in many people. MCT powder will not. And I'll put in the description below a good quality MCT powder that I use regularly. It has collagen and MCT powder in it. I like to put it in my coffee every morning. You also have fats like extra virgin olive oil, grass-fed butter, ghee, tallow, and also lard. I want to point out that I like to use grass-fed whenever I'm using any type of animal fat. So there's a reason for this. They're going to have a healthier omega-6 to omega-3 ratio, which is important for lowering inflammation in your body and also combating brain fog. So remember that. Now let's look at proteins next. Proteins are very important. And the same thing with proteins. They're going to have very little impact on blood sugar or insulin in your body. Some of my favorite go-to proteins that are going to fit into this no carb, no sugar food list are going to be beef, chicken, lamb, and fish. Now, whenever you're eating fish, this is important. You want to stick to the fatty fish. Fatty fish are going to be full of omega-3s and DHA, and they include salmon, mackerel, anchovies, and herring, along with sardines as well. Now, I want to point out something that's very important. Every food that you consume is going to have a physiological impact on your body. Forget the calories in versus calories out. And this is important because your health depends on the quality of food that you're consuming, not the quantity of food. So when we look at this no carb, no sugar food list, it's important to realize that these are your foundational foods to a good, healthy diet. Let's take a look at drinks, the no carb, no sugar drinks here. First of all, we're going to have water, okay? That's pretty obvious. But one of the things that you can do if you're somebody who just gets sick of the boring old water every day is you could have a flavored sparkling water, which would fall really good into these categories. And so we have that as an option. Now, we also have black coffee, black tea, or green tea, and also apple cider vinegar. And there's a bonus to this too. All of these drinks I just mentioned, they actually can be utilized while fasting and they don't break your fast. So that's pretty awesome. Now, all the foods that I have just mentioned here are no carb, no sugar. And these are going to be, as I mentioned, the foundational foods to a good, healthy diet. But the reality is trying to follow a diet with no carbs, no sugar long term is pretty much impossible, right? You're not going to tend to feel good. You're going to have sleep disruption. It can cause some issues for you. So you're going to start needing some low carb, low sugar foods in your diet. Let's go ahead and cover some of the best ones that you can start consuming. But before we do, I want to point out, I run a VIP community online called Health Club. Health Club includes monthly meal plans. It shows you guides to how to properly fast. Also, I drop new videos in there that you won't find anywhere else that are going to teach you how to transform your health using the clinical tips that I use every day in order to get people healthy. So if you want to join a VIP community of natural health enthusiasts and transform your health and do it naturally, go ahead and click on the link in the description below and join me in my community called Health Club today. I look forward to seeing you there. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at the vegetables, okay? There's a really important point I want to make here with vegetables. First of all, vegetables are going to be low carb, but very nutrient rich, lots of micronutrients in it. And these are going to be great options for you, especially on a healthy diet. Now, the really important point I want to make here is be creative with your vegetable consumption. A lot of times we think of vegetables being boring and just, gross and this. I'm telling you, they can be very good. You just got to cook them right. Let me give you some examples as I go through this list. So first of all, spinach. This obviously could be thrown into a salad, but it also can be hidden in a really good smoothie. You throw some spinach, some good healthy fats, some berries in there, and you got a great smoothie that you could have for breakfast in the morning, for example. Now we have lettuce, pretty boring, I get it. And then there's avocados. And avocados, though technically a fruit, and I'm putting them in a vegetable list, they are awesome as a snack. Split them in half, put some sea salt on them. Not only you're getting some electrolytes, but you're also getting those good healthy fats throughout the day. And so it's an easy, simple snack that you can use every day. Olives are great to include into this list. And then also broccoli. And if broccoli sounds boring, I encourage you to try maybe roasting it in the oven, put a little olive oil on it, some salt. It tastes fantastic this way. Then there's bell peppers, right? In bell peppers, you could just slice them up and eat them as they are, or maybe dip them in some hummus. But the other thing that you can do is you could take a bell pepper and you can stuff it with some meat and some cheese and make a really good dinner out of that. And then there's tomatoes, which fall into this list. And one of the things I've been digging a lot, especially, as they're plentiful during the summer with tomatoes, you can just slice them up and sprinkle your favorite seasoning on them and eat them like that plain. And they're so good. Now, zucchinis are another one. This vegetable that almost everybody is trying to give to you in the middle of summer because they grow incredibly large and there's tons of them. Well, zucchini, there's a lot of things you can do with it. You can make zucchini noodles. We make something called zucchini boats, where we basically slice a zucchini in half and you can turn it into pizza or enchiladas or so many different things. You can make so many things with zucchini and they're so versatile. So I encourage you to, look at many different zucchini recipes out there. They're excellent. You also have mushrooms on this list. And then there's cauliflower. In cauliflower, you can have mashed cauliflower, cauliflower rice, cauliflower crust pizza. So many options out there with this one. Then there's cabbage on this list. And plain old cabbage is good on its own. However, you could make sauerkraut. Now you have a cabbage that has turned into a really gut healthy and gut friendly food. There's also eggplant. You can make eggplant parmesan. This is an excellent option. So these are some of my favorite low carb vegetables that you can include in your diet. Let's look at our low carb fruits that are good too. Now, low carb, low sugar fruits are good because they're going to have a low glycemic index and they're going to be micronutrient dense. And you need these nutrients in your diet. They're going to make you healthy. They're loaded with antioxidants. Let's look at some of these here. Strawberries, raspberries, blackberries, and blueberries are all going to be a good part of a good healthy diet, especially when you're trying to eat low sugar and low carbohydrate. We also have some really great nuts and seeds that you could include. These are going to be loaded with good healthy fats, but also they're going to be low carb. Now, these are great for snacking. Let's start with seeds. Chia seeds, flax seeds, and pumpkin seeds, along with hemp, are all great and fall into this category. We can look at nuts. Macadamia nut, walnuts, and pecans are also all great. Once again, high in fats, but low in carbohydrates. And so these are really good. However, I encourage you to not overeat them. It's very easy to have a bag of these. You start munching on them and you start overeating them. And the reason that this matters is just because they're actually hard on your digestion and they'll be a little bit taxing on your gut. So always go really light when you're eating some of these different nuts and seeds. Now, another food that I didn't mention yet, which is incredible, is going to be eggs and cheese. These are two staples in everyone's diet. Eggs are considered nearly a perfect food, nature's multivitamin. They're loaded with proteins, fats, and micronutrients. And then you have cheese, which is going to be very satisfying, nutrient dense, and it's going to be good for you, especially in moderation. So here's the real key when it comes to your diet. We went through this whole list of different foods that you can be eating. What is important is that you make this sustainable. It's important to make sure that you're making a diet that's not too strict, okay? You have to be able to enjoy eating. And so whenever you're creating a good healthy diet, you want to start making lateral shifts. Let me give you an example. So if you're someone who loves pasta, start using zucchini noodles for your pasta. If you're craving pizza, start using cauliflower for a cauliflower crust pizza. If you're someone who really loves having a soda, you can swap it out for a stevia or erythritol sweetened soda. If you're someone who loves chocolate, skip the high sugar Hershey's and move more with the Lily's brand chocolate that is going to be sweetened with stevia. There's so many options out there, and eating healthy has never been easier than it is today. And also, to make things a little bit easier, if you're someone who has a sweet tooth, remember that there are different sweeteners out there that don't raise your blood sugar. Stevia, monk fruit, and erythritol are a couple examples. They are sweet to the taste, however, they do not spike your insulin levels. Now, remember the big picture here. Eating healthy is one piece to the puzzle. You also need quality sleep, you need proper movement, and stress management. And while you're on this journey, don't expect perfection. If you fall off track, just reset and keep moving forward. Health is a journey, not a destination. I get asked all the time, how do I stay so healthy? The truth is, I started in my 20s and I'm still working on it today. Health is a moving target. I'm Dr. Zyrowski. It's been a pleasure being with you in today's video. If you love this video and you want to keep your health on track, I bet you'll love this one right here next.